How the f did you lose to these worthless shitters? It was such a f***ing easy game.
Yeah, having a bad coach can be about as motivating as trying to explain to your mom that you can't pause a multiplayer game. And the effects of poor coaching can be quite devastating for the players. Loss of motivation, burnout, and shattered gaming equipment are among common consequences. Due to the huge impact a coach can have, both for the better or for the worse, we're gonna show you 6 basics of coaching backed by sports psychology theory. The main goal of a coach is to motivate his players. A good coach makes the players want to come back over and over again without feeling like it's a chore. The main theory that sports psychologists use nowadays related to motivation is called the self-determination theory. And to avoid you guys willingly huffing on the asbestos in your grandpa's ceiling, I'll oversimplify it. Basically, there are 2 types of motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic. Now, extrinsic relates to motivation that comes from outside the player. That means rewards like money or fame, or punishments like getting yelled at by your coach or tasting mom's flip-flop at 100 kilometers an hour. Intrinsic sources, on the other hand, are not related to the person's outside. Now, this means being motivated by enjoyment, a feeling of purpose, or mastery. To give an example, intrinsic motivation is when you wake up at 10 AM because it makes you feel good, while extrinsic motivation is when you wake up at 6 AM because it makes your boss feel good. Now that the difference is clear, which type of motivation do you think is best?
Fight!
Well, if you want long-term success, you want to be intrinsically motivated.
Flawless victory.
To foster long-lasting intrinsic motivation, you want to set progressive goals. Your goals need to create a path from the starting point to your desired result. And this goal setting is then divided into short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. It would all be easier to understand with an example. Let's say you want to become the world's best ostrich racist. Let's say you wanted to become the world's best ostrich racer, and the world championship is in 9 months. This becomes your long-term goal. Now, to beat the world record and become the world champion, you need to improve your time by 6 seconds. And you ideally would like to reach that type of performance before the 9 months, so let's say about 6 months. And this becomes your midterm goal. Then, to improve your time by those 6 seconds in those 6 months, you would need to establish a process to improve your time by about 1 second per month, which becomes your short-term goal. In that training process, you say you might need about 4 hours of ostrich racing, 3 hours of ostrich bonding, and 5 hours of analyzing the ostrich racing meta. This is your working process. Now, in this example, you can see how we have a long-term result goal that determines a mid-term performance goal to reach the desired result, that then determines a short-term process goal to achieve the level of performance for the desired result. As an ostrich racer, anytime one of your goals timeframes are met, you need to evaluate all your progress and figure out how close you are to winning the World Championship and going on Barstool's next weekly coverage. It's not a secret that a lot of retired players become coaches afterwards, especially if they were known as smart players. Think Pep Guardiola for Barcelona, Zonic for Astralis, and your dad for you, after he mentally reconstructs 3 months of playing table tennis in high school into a bronze medal in the national championship. Now, this transition from player to coach happens because they have the most obvious skill that a coach needs, which is game knowledge. Now, they know how the game works in and out because they've been playing at the top level for years. However, the interesting thing about game knowledge is that it's the thing that everyone looks for in a coach. However, it is arguably less important than the previous 2 points, as this one can be covered by the players. Still, a coach that has substantial game knowledge and is able to master the previous 2 points will gain newfound respect from his players. Once you have motivated players and game knowledge covered, it's important to maximize the efficiency of your team. And this is where structuring the collective thinking of your team becomes very important. Team games are like arguing with your significant other. The milliseconds matter, and a wrong move can cause severe mental commotion.
What?
Therefore, having predetermined responses will significantly speed up your reaction time and efficiency, while also clearing up your communication. Oh, right, yeah, this video was about coaching. When streamlining the team's collective thinking, you can utilize something called knowledge structures. Now, they are more broadly utilized than you think, as any strategy, tactic, or idea that all of your team is on board with is a knowledge structure. However, when creating them, it is important to make them easy to remember, as the pressure of the game will make the players forget the tactics if they are not as logical as YouTube and ad blockers. And for this reason, we'd recommend using the 80-20 rule. This rule says that 80% of what you encounter stem from 20% of the possible scenarios. By mastering the 20% most common scenarios, you are able to cover 80% of what you're gonna face in-game. Dumbed down, this just means that your team's collective ideas should not be focused on micro details, but rather on the bigger picture, as that's gonna cover a lot more with a lot less. While all the previous basics apply to coaching any team or player, what separates the good coaches from the great coaches is adaptability. No matter how good your strats or motivation abilities are, every team is going to be different. And to maximize your efficiency as a coach, you will need to adapt the way you talk, the way you motivate, and your strats to your team's weaknesses and strengths. A good coach has a plan to improve a team before he's in it. A great coach can create and adapt a plan to a team while he's in it. Just think about how Pep Guardiola changed his tactics from his time in Barcelona to Bayern and now to Manchester City. No coach or team gets anywhere without honesty. While it might create short-term problems and conflicts, you need to be transparent in your decision-making to gain the trust of the players. If you choose to leave your players in the dark, they will create their own explanations when problems arise, which will inevitably cause distrust. And since trust is the sole foundation for any coaching, all the previous points become less useful than your Insta-lock Reina once you tell her she has to challenge map control, not the boundaries of Riot's profanity filter. And that's how you go from the last 20 Manchester United coaches to Mr. Miyagi in only 6 steps. And even if you're a player, be sure to send this video to your coach, your boss, or even your roommate. They could probably all take a couple of tips from this. Then we'll see you next time, and as always, remain hardstuck.